Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Kim and welcome back to Uncommonkim. Summerween. I hate myself, why do I keep doing that? So, I've changed my angle. Today I'm going to be doing a book recommendations based off of authors I enjoy. So I've got a few different authors I'm basically going to talk you through for recommendations for Summerween. I will mention if they fit certain prompts for Summerween, but in general these are just mystery thrillers that I have really enjoyed and I want to recommend to people. Quite a few of them are highly read anyway, so I'm sure a few of them you may have already read, but I just wanted to participate for people that maybe haven't read these and wanted a bit of a review or an insight to see whether they should read them or not. So I have quite a few different authors I'm going to go through. Some of them, if you are a regular viewer here, won't be surprised by, but here we go. So let's begin. So the first author I'm going to talk about, if you are a regular viewer here, will be no bloody surprise to you. Is Holly Jackson. She is probably she probably is my favourite author of all time, both across mystery, thrillers and also fantasy, because I think just overall this woman tops it for me every time. I'm yet to read a book I haven't enjoyed by her. This was close, but beside the point. So Holly Jackson mainly writes YA mysteries, thrillers, but they are phenomenal. There's twists, there's turns you never see coming until the very end. Her first series being A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is my favourite series of all time. I bloody love it. It is amazing. We follow a girl called Pip, who basically she is trying to pick her final project for finishing school, and by doing this she decides to look more into a closed case which happened in her town, and by doing this she uncovers a few things that she actually believes the person who was blamed for the murder didn't actually do it. And there's a whole load of shit that goes along with this. But everyone in this town believes that the person who was not so much charged, but the person who was basically it was decided that they killed them. Everyone believes that this person killed this person, apart from Pip. And maybe Ravi. But she basically is going to go and prove them all bloody wrong. And I love it. I love this series so much. I reread this back in May. And it was just a vibe. It was an absolute vibe. Like, best day of my life. Because I read it in a day. But yeah, I really recommend this one. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson is a standalone. So Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a trilogy, also has a novella, but this is a standalone. So this follows a group of, I believe, teenagers. As the RV breaks down while they're on their way to, I believe, like a camp of some sorts. They're on their way to, there's a big group of them, and on their way there, their RV breaks down. This takes part in over a 24-hour period, and I don't think it's 24 hours, I think it's like 8, actually. Yeah, within 8 hours. 6 friends must escape and work out which one of them is the target. Buried secrets will be forced to light and tensions inside the RV will reach deadly levels. But yeah, you follow a group of kids who basically, the RV breaks down and there is someone outside trying to kill them. And they basically have to work out who it is they are trying to kill, as it is only one of the people inside the RV. And then by doing that, lots of secret twists and turns happen throughout. I know a lot of people weren't massive fans of this. I still really enjoyed it. I did find it slow in places, but it was still a worth read for me. Hence why I'm recommending it to you now. But yeah, 5 Survive. And then my new favourite, I know, Holly Jackson book is The Reappearance of Rachel Price. Now, this is her new release. It literally was released in April, I believe. And this has actually become my new favourite Holly Jackson book. I know. What are we talking about? The amount of times I recommended The Good Girl's Guide to Murder to people, we did not think that this would beat that, but here we are. So in here, we follow Belle. Belle was 2 years old when her mum went missing and she was abandoned in a car, and we are quite a few years later now, and basically her dad has decided he wants to do a true crime documentary about the disappearance of her mum. While they are filming this true crime documentary, her mum reappears. Hence the title. And then we basically go along this journey with Belle and Rachel to discover what the bloody hell actually happened. And all I can say is holy fucking shit. This blew my mind. I read it in like 24 hours, I think. It was a phenomenal read. The twists, the turns, the amount of times I gasped or cried, I did cry in this book, was a bit unreal, but it was so worth it. I absolutely loved the characters in this, and it honestly keeps you guessing all the time because you don't know who to believe. There's so many points of views and so many things going on. You just don't know who to believe and who not to trust. It's a bit mental. So, for Summerween prompts, you can count Reappearance of Rachel Price for 5 words in the title. Don't think this place takes place in summer. 5 Survive takes place in summer, I'm pretty sure. Kind of a night sky in the background there, if you can kind of see the stars, so you can count it for that. Obviously they're all thrillers. You can read any of them in the dark if you so wish. 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 6 words in the title, so can't count that. Doesn't take place in summer, this one. Yeah, there we go. So this is my first author recommendation. On to number 2. The next author recommendation or series recommendation isn't so much a thriller or a horror, it's a mystery, and I'd count it as a cozy mystery. So if really scary shit ain't your thing, this is a good series for you. And that's The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This series is phenomenal. I love it so much. There is a 4th book, I just haven't read it yet, so I didn't want to include this in a recommendation, just because I read these so I can recommend them, basically. But in the first book, which is The Thursday Murder Club, we follow 4 elderly British people while they are in their British retirement homes. And let me just say, if you are English, these are your typical British old people. Cups of tea, biscuits, don't know how to use the internet, basically do what they want without any repercussions. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And basically these group of friends form the Thursday Murder Club, where they solve on a Thursday in one of the rooms in their retirement home unsolved murder mysteries together. They get in a whole heap of trouble all the time. You find out some funny ass shit about Elizabeth, let me just say, but it is amazing. I love it. The friends they make along the way, if you know Bogdan, do I need to say any more? It is just an amazing, heartwarming series. So it is there is 4 books currently. There's a 4th. I just haven't read it yet. But the 3 books that I'm going to show you. So you have the first book, which is The Thursday Murder Club. The second one is The Man Who Died Twice, and the third one is The Bullet That Missed. They're really short, to be fair, they're not that long, really easy to read. I really recommend the audiobooks for these as well. But they're just so easy, cozy, fun reads, to be honest. And yeah, if scary thrillers aren't your thing, I really recommend this series. And unfortunately, so you can count The Man Who Died Twice for 5 words in the title. I don't remember if any of them take place in summer, unfortunately, because old people. Summer's probably like several months long for them because they don't like work or have school or anything. You could read any of them in the dark if you so wish. But that's probably all they really count for. There's no like night sky, but if you just wanted a fun, cozy read, I really recommend this series. On to the next one. Okay, the next books I'm going to recommend you is again a series, again YA mystery, and I don't expect you to read all these for Summerween, but if you're anything like me, and you enjoy a YA mystery, this series is the shit. And it is the Truly Devious, I don't even know what to call it anymore, series by Maureen Johnson. So we have 3 main books and then 2 books on the side, is basically how I would explain it. So the first book being Truly Devious, where I cannot remember this girl's name. What is your name, my darling? Stevie. We follow Stevie, so where she goes to Ellingham Academy. Ellingham Academy is where special, I don't want to say special, basically if you have a very specific subject you want to learn about, you can go to Ellingham, where you can basically just solely learn about that subject. And Stevie gets accepted into this school, and her topic of choice is to solve the murders that took place at this school years before. And she makes loads of friends along the way, and it is really cute, really cozy. Very similar vibes to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, so if you have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you will probably really enjoy this. A lot more school based than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but still a really good read. Now the school vibes continue with the second and third book. So Truly Devious is the first one, The Vanishing Stair is number 2, and The Hand on the Wall is book 3. So all 3 of these take place in the school setting. So you kind of get similar vibes for all 3 of these, where they kind of solve different murder investigations through each. So to go over these, so I would say these count as thrillers for sure. There was definitely a couple of moments that these scared the shit out of me, to be perfectly honest. Definitely, if you want to read them at night, you go for it, my dear. No Night Sky, Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stair, The Hand on the Wall. The Hand on the Wall can count for 5 words in the title, but obviously this is book 3. There will definitely be aspects of summer within these, but I don't think they take place during summer, just because obviously they're at school. So unfortunately they don't count for that. But yeah, this is like the main trilogy for Truly Devious. And then you have The Box in the Woods and 9 Liars. Maureen Johnson, you fucking killed me with this book, and you know it. Besides the point. So The Box in the Woods is basically a part of the same world. So you still follow Stevie and all of her friends, but they go to camp. They go to camp, and there just so happens at this camp years before there was a murder, or a few. And basically Stevie then goes here and obviously tries to solve the murder. Of course she does. But it's still a vibe, it's still really cute, cozy, a vibe, basically, a vibe. And I think with this one as well, you do kind of get a dual perspective, if I remember correctly. Where Yes, so you get some chapters that will be Stevie's perspective, and then you get some that are dated to when the murders were happening, so you can get like kind of perspective from both sides, which is really nice. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Nice and cozy one. So this would take place during summer because that's when they go to camp. The box in the woods, 5 words in the title, happy days. No night sky, definitely a thriller, and you can read it in the dark if you so want to. So quite a good few prompts for Summerween for this one. And this one comes straight after The Hand on the Wall. And then you go on to this. It took me a while to read this. No reason other than I just didn't have time to get around to it, basically. But I read it at the end of last year, and good lord, did it crush my soul. So I believe this is the one. So they're in the senior year of school now, and one of our characters is studying in London. And basically there is a cold case that happens in a certain area of London that Stevie wants to go and investigate. Of course she does. So they all go to London. This whole book is based in London, which was a vibe because obviously I'm British, if you can't tell. And while she is there, she basically starts to look more into said unsolved murder, and there's like 7 different suspects that could have taken part in this murder mystery, and then there is 2 murderers, but there is also the murderer was never caught, so it was just it's a matter of time before Stevie obviously gets involved. But the reason this killed me has nothing to do with the murder at all. It's to do with what Maureen Johnson does to my heart and my soul, and how she crushes one of my favourite relationships in this series. She knows what she's done, so we're going to move past that. But it's an amazing series. This whole heck and ton of a series is a vibe, to be honest. I really recommend it. Again, if you like YA mystery, if you're not too into like massively scary books, this is a nice alternative. It's still thrillery, but just not as much as say like Grady Hendrix, if that makes sense. But now it's time to get on to a few more scarier thrillers. The next author I'm going to talk about is probably one of my favourite thriller authors. She was the first thriller book. She was the author of the first thriller book I ever read, and I loved it. And I've been reading every book she's brought out since, including one that's on my TBR for Summerween, funnily enough. And that is CJ Tudor. A lot of people may not have heard of her, mainly just due to she not being like as massive as say like people like Lisa Jill, but she is still a phenomenal thriller horror writer. She has quite a few books. These are just 4 of them that are some of my favourites, so I'll talk about each one with you. So her most recent release is The Gathering, that literally came out like last month before. So I'm not going to talk about that because that's the one I'm going to be reading for Summerween. But the release that came out before that was The Drift by CJ Tudor. So in here we follow a few different perspectives during like a snowstorm, basically. So if I read the synopsis I find is so much easier to read for CJ Tudor's books because there's always going to be something I miss out. So, an overturned coach full of students, all of them are trapped. A stranded cable car full of strangers, one of them is dead. An isolated chalet full of friends, soon they'll be enemies. Outside a snowstorm rages, inside each group a killer lurks. But that's not their only problem. Why is no rescue coming? What are they trying to escape from? And who are the terrifying whistlers? A locked room mystery, a dystopian thriller, a nail-shredding horror. One terrifying conclusion. I was really nervous I wasn't going to like this book, but I tell you what, once I actually got into it and I understood the plot, it was really, really good. And you kind of jump between the different perspectives and you never really know what's going to happen. And then before you know it, you're at the end. And everything just comes together. And it's so good. I really, really recommend this. I gave it 5 stars, obviously. I've also seen like Lala from Kayla from Books of Lala, she's read it, and I'm sure a few other booktubers have read it as well. I can't remember what Kayla gave it, but you can't complain. It was a really, really good book, to be fair. So for this one, if you want to read it in the dark, go for it. Thriller for sure. No Night Sky. Doesn't take place in summer. I know that there's snow everywhere, so yeah, you can count it as for the first 2 prompts if you so need to. But yeah, really good book. I'm going to tell you them in order that I read them. So the next one is The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. Why do I keep saying her name? Like, this is who we're talking about. I don't know. You may also know that this book has got a series. I haven't actually watched it yet because I keep forgetting it exists. And I don't watch a lot of series and things, just because I either read or watch booktube, so meh. But the synopsis for this one is: 500 years ago, 8 martyrs were burnt to death. 30 years ago, two teenagers vanished without a trace. 2 months ago, the vicar committed suicide. Welcome to Chapelcroft. Basically, we follow this woman who is going to be the new vicar in Chapelcroft, and she moves to this town with her daughter. And while they're here, she notices a little, I think it was like stick figures, or, well, they call them the Burning Girls, but they're little like figures made out of sticks. And if you see them, it's basically meant to mean something bad's going to happen to you, and then bad things start happening, basically. And also our main character, the vicar, is trying to find out what happened to the previous vicar and why they committed suicide. And it's just very interesting. It's very like witchy-esque, but obviously there's no witches. But it is just, yeah, it's just a really, really good book, to be fair. Definitely keeps you gripped throughout. If you enjoyed this, definitely check the series out and let me know what you thought, because I do want to watch it, but I'm funny when it comes to watching things. But so yeah, you can read this in the dark if you so want. Thriller, Full Shoal. No Night Sky. I feel like it does take place in summer, you know, only because I don't remember the daughter going to school, but I could be wrong, but there we go. The next one is The Chalkman by C.J. Tudor. I need to stop saying C.J. Tudor, it's actually annoying me. The next one is The Chalkman, which I absolutely love the spine of this book. But where's the synopsis on the back? So, none of us were ever agreed on the exact beginning. Was it when we started drawing the chalk figures, or when they started to appear on their own? Was it the terrible accident, or when they found the first body? So, I read this quite a few years ago, so bear with me while I try and remember what happened. But I'm pretty sure we follow this man who used to live in this town, but he moves away. But then he returns, and when he returns, he notices strange things happening, and things repeating themselves from when he was younger. We do have a dual perspective. I'm pretty sure it's him from when he was a child and him from when he's older, and you kind of just follow him as the story progresses into discovering what the bloody hell is going on. I also remember this being a little bit slow to begin with, and in parts, but I remember it also picking up quite a lot towards the second half of the book. Again, still really, really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure it still ended up being a 5-star read for me. This and the next one I'm going to talk about, I really would like to reread soon. I keep thinking about doing like a book club or some sort, where I kind of reread old favourites of mine with like some of you if you are interested in that. So if you are interested, let me know, as then we can buddy read it together, but as a book club basically. But yeah, the Chalkman. And the final CJ Tudor book we have is The Other People by CJ Tudor. Oh, I annoy myself so much by doing that. So this was the first ever CJ Tudor I read, and I think I got it from a recommendation from like Olivia Reads a Latte, or Kayla, and I remember just plodding along throughout, and then boom, that ending was a smack in the cheek. I can't remember precisely what happened, but I remember my reaction, which I think is why I then always tend to go back to CJ Tudor. So, driving home one evening, stuck behind a rusty old car, Gabe sees a little girl's face appear in the rear window. She mouths one word: Daddy. It's his 5-year-old daughter, Izzy. He never sees her again. 3 years later, Gabe spends his days and nights travelling up and down the motorway, searching for the car that took his daughter, refusing to give up hope, even though most people believe that Izzy is dead. Fran and her daughter, Alice, also put in a lot of miles on the motorway, not searching, but running, trying to keep one step ahead of the people who want to hurt them. Because Fran knows the truth. She knows what really happened to Gabe's daughter. She knows who's responsible, and she knows what they will do if they ever catch up with her and Alice. I remember absolutely loving this book, and it was literally that first line of Gabe sees a little girl face appear in the rear window. She mouths one word: Daddy. It's his 5-year-old daughter, Izzy. He never sees her again. It's that first bit that I was like, I need to find out what the bloody hell's going on, because you follow both perspectives, and at first you're like, you just want to follow his perspective, you want to know what the bloody hell's going on there, and then things start to happen in Fran's perspective, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And it's just, you just keep crawling away and away and away through the book, and then you go, holy shit, because you're at the end and you find out what the bloody hell's going on. And it was just so fast paced, and you just kept turning the page and page that you just don't know when to stop until the book's over. And yeah, I remember absolutely loving this book, so I really recommend this to anyone that wants a thriller. So for this, obviously a thriller. I think that's all you can really count it for, unless you want to read it in the dark. But yeah, not really doing really well with the prompts wise for this, but yeah, these are just books I really love. On to the next ones. Okay, so the next author I'm going to talk about has hundreds of books, and I mean hundreds. I have read 4, 2 I recommend and 2 I don't. So I'm just going to talk about the 2 that I do recommend. And that is Lisa Jewell. I love Lisa Jewell. I really enjoy her writing. But unfortunately, the 2 that I didn't like, one was just really fucking weird and shit. And the other one is the one that comes after this. So... But besides the point, this was a phenomenal read, The Family Upstairs. We follow a family, obviously, who live in a large house in London. And while living in this large house in London, there is a whole... we follow 2 perspectives. We follow the family back in the day when they all lived in this house, and then we have the current time where we follow this baby who is just left in this house on her own with nobody else, but somebody keeps going back to look after the baby. But who? Good question. But also, when the police go in and find said baby, they also find quite a few dead bodies. And then it's basically the whole thing of how we got to that point. And it's really good, really twist and turvy. There were certain aspects I didn't like, but that's just my personal preferences. But it was still a 5-star. I still couldn't put it down. The bits that I didn't like was just the way that some characters acted. I just wanted to slap them, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, still a really good read. Yeah, like I said, I could not put this one down, so I do really recommend this one. And the Family Remains, if you want to read it, but I don't really recommend it. And the other one is The Night She Disappeared. Now I need to check the synopsis for this, because I'm sure, right, that there is another CJ Tudor, this isn't CJ Tudor, there is another Lisa Jewell book that I actually have read. But for the love of Christ, I haven't marked it as read on my Goodreads, it's not on my shelves, I don't know where it is, but I know the plot, and I know the twists and the turns, and I don't know why I can't find it. So, yeah. So, I'm just gonna read you a synopsis of this, but I can see now already that this isn't said book, so I don't know what's happened to that book, but hey ho. So, midsummer 2017, teenage mum Tallulah heads out on a date, leaving her baby son at home with her mother Kim. That's my name. At 11 p.m, she sends her mum a text. At 4:30 a.m, Kim awakens to discover that Tallulah has not come home. Friends tell her that Tallulah had last seen heading to a pool party at a house in the woods nearby Dark Place. Tallulah never returns. 2018. Walking in the woods behind the boarding school where her boyfriend has just started as a head teacher, Sophie sees a sign nailed to the fence. A sign that says, "Dig here." I do briefly remember this, actually. Not an awful lot, though. I don't really remember much past what the synopsis is telling you. I remember having the Jewell perspective, but apart from that, I can't really remember a lot else. So, turns out this isn't the Lisa Jewell book I remember, and I don't know where that book is, so... And apparently I haven't read it according to Goodreads, but I'm telling you that I have. And I don't know where it is, but hey ho. But yes, these are the two Lisa Jewell books that I would recommend to you. Next. Okay, so I've got one author left, and then I've got like two groups of books I want to talk about together. So I'm going to do one of the groups, talk about the author, and then do the other group. So the first group is literally just two books, but I feel like they need to be mentioned. And so we have The Chain by Adrian McKinty. I was recommended this by my cousin and my auntie, because they're also big readers, and it was great. It was a vibe. It was so good. So in this, basically, a stranger kidnaps your child. Okay? You then get a phone call saying you've got to pay a fine, if I remember rightly. But in order to free your child, you have to abduct somebody else's child. Hence The Chain. Because it's a chain of things that keep going on. So your child will be released when the victim's parents kidnap another child. So you have to kidnap somebody else's child. And then when that family have kidnapped another child, you get your child back. Make sense? And if you don't do any of these things, your child dies. It's the fucking shit. Like, honest to God, it's so good. And other things happen along the way, and you're like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's a really good book. I love the characters in this. The mum, a really good female main character. But yeah, it's a fucking ride. The ending was a bit shit in a way, but also made sense, but also was a bit shit. But it had to end in some way, I suppose. But if you know, you know. But The Chain. And the other one is Night Swim by Megan Goldin. This is now a duology. I haven't actually read the next book yet because I want to reread this before I move on to that. I read this years ago. Thanks to Lauren from Lauren a Nerd on Bookstagram, because she sent me this. Because I was desperate to read it, and she had an arc, so she sent it to me. Absolute ledge. Love her. So I'm going to read you a synopsis because it's actually been so long since I've read this. When did this come out? 2021. So I probably read it in 2021. So there we go. So Rachel Crow is a household name, famous for her true crime podcast that set an innocent man free. She's now back covering a devastating rape trial. Pre-warning, rape triggers, and I do remember them being pretty graphic. And if you don't know, that's one of my triggers, but I did read it, but I was scarred afterwards. Local golden boy stands accused. The victim, the granddaughter of the police chief, is in this close-knit town, but Rachel is distracted. Someone is leaving mysterious letters asking her to dig deep into the death of Jenny Stills. She drowned, but the letters insist it was murder. The past and the present start to collide as Rachel uncovers startling connections between the two cases, and a revelation that will change the course of the trial and the lives of everyone involved. It's time to find out the truth. It was a very, very good read. It was very hard to read because, as I say, rape does trigger me. But it is a very, very good read. The twists and the turns with this was phenomenal. If you enjoy like a podcast element in a book as well, it does it really, really well in here. And yeah, as I say, this is now a duology. I can't actually remember what the next book's called. Dark Corners. Sorry, I definitely owned it, but I was like, I can't see it. Dark Corners. So Night Swim, Dark Corners, and I think in Dark Corners as well we follow Rachel again, but for a different case. So a vibe. So yeah, for this you can read A Book in the Dark. It is a thriller. No Night Sky. I feel like it might take place in summer, but I don't know. You have to read it and find out. But yeah, I really do recommend this one. On to the next author. I mean, you knew it was coming eventually, right? My man, Grady Hendrix. I love this man with all my hecking heart. Apart from this. Weren't worth it. But these, very, very good. I'm not going to go over synopses because there's obviously quite a few. But Final Girl Support Group obviously just follows a bunch of final girls, and one by one they're all getting killed off, and it's a who's doing it, so on and so forth. Very, very good, very fast pace. Anything else I want to say about it? No, I think we're solid. How to Sell a Haunted House. Now, I don't do creepy kids. And there's, if your name is Lauren Hester 12, you'll know that there's one more thing apart from creepy kids I also don't do, and that's creepy dolls. Annabelle, I'm looking at you, my guy. No. This was a really, really good read. I really, really enjoyed it. But fuck me, did it scare the shit out of me. Like, creepy dolls, creepy kids, creepy house. It scared the shit out of me. I read this last year for Summerween, and holy fucking shit. Yeah. If you like creepy kids and creepy dolls, this is for you. Lauren, you still haven't read this. May I just add? Read it. One book Lauren has read, though. The 7 Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. Now, this is a fucking good book, okay? So you follow a book club, right? And, there's a group of women at this book club, and basically a vampire moves into the neighbourhood, and he's the talk of the town, but no one knows there's a vampire apart from this one lady that we follow. But basically the book club then come together to decide how they're going to get rid of the vampire. Where is the... Yeah, the only thing that keeps her insane, blah 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 blah, is... But then children on the other side of the town go missing. Patricia wonders if he's connected. Is he Brad Pitt or Bundy? A Bundy or something worse? Basically, he's a vampire. If you couldn't work out by the title. And yeah, kids start going missing, and then she and the book club work together to figure out where the kids are going. Simple as. And my least favourite Grady Hendrix book, My Best Friend's Exorcism. It was a good read. I enjoyed the beginning, and I enjoyed what the story was throughout, what it was doing. But the bitch that was like a part of that was possessed was a fucking bitch. I could not stand her character, and I'm sure that was the point, but I really didn't like her. I really didn't like her, and I really hoped she was, yeah, I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil it, but I did not like her, and for that, this is the worst, not the worst, but my lowest rated Grady Hendrix, which was only a 4. It was a 4-star. The others are all 5s, but this was the yeah, I didn't like this one. she annoyed me a lot, so it's still a really good read though. It is a good read, but if you can stand bitchy teenagers, go for it. But I didn't like it, basically. And the final 2 books I'm going to talk about are very similar in some ways and also not in another. So we have The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and we have Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now they both have thriller aspects. This one more than this one. This one also has a romance aspect. Okay. And in both of these, we follow a woman who is basically disabled from the shoulders down. Has no function over her body, unfortunately. In this one, the lady is called Verity. I've dropped another book. The lady is called Verity, and she is a writer. So they get in a lady called Lowen, who basically then continues to write Verity's books while she is unable, as she is a best-selling author. And while Lowen is doing this, weird things start to take place. And she also then finds a manuscript, which Verity was writing. And basically in this you find out that Verity never intended for anyone to read it. But obviously Lowen does. And she basically finds out a lot of things that happened to this family, and you find out Verity's side of the story, even though she can't communicate, and also, yeah, just a lot of shit happens in this, to say the least. It is one of my favourite thrillers of all time. It is twisty, turvy. I recommend this to fucking anyone. And that ending, it scars you for life. Now, the reason I did these 2 together is because this is basically this, but more thrillery. So in this we follow, what is your name? Kit. We follow Kit, and Kit is a caretaker, or caregiver, probably a better way of saying it, a caregiver. And she looks after, oh my god, what's her name? Lenora, who unfortunately becomes paralysed and has to have someone constantly look after her. That's where Kit comes in. So Kit comes in and takes care of this woman. And this woman, everyone believes that she killed her family. Everyone believes that she is a mass murderer, and everyone believes that she killed her family. And in this, we follow Lorena basically saying to Kit, I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you my side of the story. Obviously, she can't talk, so this is where she like types it for Kit to read, and then quite a few weird dark things happen in this house. This house is literally on a cliff. It is not safe on this cliff, but it's there. and things start to happen while Lenora is trying to tell her side of the story, basically. It's a really, really good, gripping book. This was my first Riley Saga. I read this last year for Summerween, and I'm going to be reading Middle of the Night this year for Summerween, so I'm really excited. But if you enjoyed this, read this, and if you enjoyed this, read this. Catch my drift? That's the point I'm trying to get at. Good books, very similar vibes, just more thrillery. This has romance, this doesn't. Definitely doesn't. But yeah, that is all my recommendations for you. I hope this may help someone find a book they were thinking of reading but wasn't too sure, or you wanted some vibes for Summerween. Anything. I just hoped I helped in some way. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe if you're new, because I don't know how, but we're currently getting up to 300 subscribers. It's a bit mental, but thank you if you're new. Hello, if you're new. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all very soon, very, very soon, for another Summerween vlog. I think that's what's next. But yeah, I'll see you all soon for that. Bye bye.